This is Holly from Get Your Rock Out, here with Dave from Revocation. So, how is the European tour going so far, even though it's only started?
So far, it's going great.
Yeah.
The shows have all been really good, and it's cool to be on like a really, brutal underground package. And it's, I've been a fan of it board and growing up. I've been a fan of Black Dive growing up, and it's been cool to tour with these dudes and just participate in the mayhem every night.
Awesome, yeah. And you're touring with your fourth full-length album?
Yeah, so it's our fourth one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how's the reception going? It looks pretty good up there so far.
Yeah, it's been great so far. I mean, the response from fans and critics alike has been really good. So yeah, we're just stoked to be able to play some new material and get it out there.
Yeah, I mean the fans are really, the people singing along up there and everything like that. People were really engaged. It was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And how are you guys keeping occupied on tour? Because it's you've only started, really, haven't you? So.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like today I went for a walk. I went to the street kind of market down there.
Oh, so you've got a bit of tourism.
What's that place called? Like it starts with an A.
What have you been? So you've been out like Piccadilly Gardens, down Oldham Street, the Northern Quarter and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to walk around, grab a bite to eat, sightsee a little bit. But these last two UK shows, the club turns over into like a different kind of nightclub afterwards. So we haven't really had that much time in the UK since today we played at like 6. So it was basically get in, load in, grab some food. By the time you're done with that, it's sound check and ready to roll. I mean, I think we finished sound checking. I ate dinner and set up merch in a half an hour span before going on.
No.
So it was just like shoveling jerk chicken into my mouth and setting up t-shirts, but we make it happen.
That's good, yeah. You're touring pretty much non-stop until, well, I've seen like up until the end of December.
Mid-November we're touring till, so.
And how are you guys coping away from things far away from home?
We're used to it at this point. We tour many months out of the year, so.
Yeah.
I remember, when we first started touring, it's like, you're 3 days in, you're like, I'm going to be gone for a month. And now it's like, you're 3 days in, and you're like, I don't even know when I'm getting home. Right? Whatever.
That's good.
Yeah.
At least you get into it and then just get involved. It's nice.
Yeah, I can adapt to stuff really easily. Like, so it's, once you, start, once you're like 2 days in, you kind of get the vibe. You start seeing, what the situation's like as far as like, the vibe on tour, all that kind of stuff, and you sort of just fall into your role. And
yeah, that's good. So back home in Massachusetts, do you all live near each other? Were there some relocations? Because there's a slight change in lineup, haven't there?
Yeah.
So what sort of happened with you guys?
Me and the drummer are the original members, and we're from Boston, so anytime we're writing new stuff, as long as he's nearby, that we can kind of do whatever because we can jam and all that kind of stuff. Dan lives in Long Island, but even when he writes it, he's able to come up and if he's writing a song, we can kind of work it out while we're preparing for a tour, or this or that, record, do like a little bit of pre-pro. And our bass player lives in Jersey, so they're not living like, it's not like they're on the West Coast or something like that. It's a little bit of a hassle for them to get up there. It's about a 6-hour drive, but it's not like we're doing practice every weekend with them. They only really come up at this point if we're doing a tour or if we're preparing for a record.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been really an issue so far, so that's been good.
So what sort of inspires your tracks then? Is it sort of like other music, or is it actually like life situations?
It depends. I think musically, it can be inspired by different bands that we like. Certainly stuff not even in the metal genre. I like a lot of jazz, I like a lot of classical. So sometimes you get different little ideas, or you don't even know. Sometimes it just seeps in subconsciously. Maybe something comes out. So certainly music's very inspiring, but sometimes it'll just be a change of scenery. You go on vacation or something like that, and you bring an acoustic guitar, and you're sitting out somewhere, and it's like raining out, and all of a sudden like a riff just pops out. So I think you kind of can be inspired by a lot of different things. As far as lyrically go, it's a combination of personal experience and also critique on the world as it is today. And metal's always sort of been very vocal about fucked up shit going on in the real world setting, so we're no different in that regard.
So going back to gigs, are there any, well, in your career so far, any really crazy gigs that you really remember and stick out in your mind?
Yeah, Japan was insane. Playing Japan,
Really?
yeah, it was a trip. It was our first time over there, and we went over there right when our first record on Relapse came out, so we had no idea like what our response was going to be. We were there with Behemoth and Jumper Cowboy, and we knew people knew those bands, but it was a real trip seeing people with like posters of us and like waiting in like our hotel lobbies and stuff like that.
Wow.
It almost like felt like the Beatles. Like security was like, no more autographs, like kind of shit, and I was like,
That's
oh
amazing.
shit. So yeah, going over there was really insane because it was so far away. It's such a different culture, but they're just so ravenous for metal over there that it was really quite something. Other than that, I mean, it really depends. I mean, we've had great gigs in the U.S., we've had killer gigs in Canada, we've had a lot of cool gigs over in Europe. Underworld is usually pretty good in London.
Yeah, it's such a small venue
It's
as well,
small,
isn't it?
but it's got a cool vibe. Like, kids are just, amped up there. So that's probably my favorite place to play in the UK. But yeah, I don't know. You find different gigs everywhere that are cool.
Yeah, you always play something different, won't you?
Yeah.
Any plans for next year? Set out? Big ones?
Not really. Right now, we're just sort of waiting to get these tours finished up, and then we're always writing and jamming and stuff like that. So I'm sure we'll probably write some more music and whatnot. But right now, our main focus is just finishing out 2013 strong, touring in support of the record, really getting it.
Yeah.
Having the record have its day in the sun, and then we'll worry about plans after that.
Cool. So how did Revocation really get started? Was it just something like you were bored one day and thought, yeah, start a band? Or was it just like, yeah, I want to be something big?
I started playing with Phil when I was in like 8th or 9th grade. So me and him go way back, and we just, I knew I wanted to start a band, but just like anyone when you're a young, teenager, and you playing like Metallica songs, Nirvana covers, just kind of jamming out. And pretty soon after that, we started writing original material. Then we started off as Cryptic Warning, released a full-length, self-released a full-length under that name. And then from there, it just kind of became Revocation. But we've been jamming for a while, and it was one of those gradual things. It wasn't like we started it and we're like, we're going to be fucking touring the world, We just started because we wanted to play music together, and, like, oh, if we could open for, even like a local band that we liked a lot, that was like so cool to us. So, the more and more you go on, the more and more you keep playing, you get to experience these like cool things, and you look back and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I toured with Atheists, or Forbidden, or this or that. So but we didn't set out to be anything. We basically just wanted to play music and jam.
That's awesome. Yeah. So leading on from that then, who, before obviously become like absolutely worldwide headliners, who would you like to tour with? Who would you most favourite love to tour with?
I mean, probably Metallica, just because it would be such a, the crowd would be insane.
Yeah.
But who else? Or Megadeth. Those really classic bands. Gorguts just reformed, and they're one of my favorite bands of all time. So I'd love to forward those guys, maybe. But yeah, I'll say Metallica's probably my number one.
Yeah, it's quite a good one. Yeah, definitely. So we talked about sort of plans for next year. Anything in the next 6 months? I mean, you're touring quite a bit.
Yeah.
But anything?
Well, as soon as we get back home from this, I think we have one day off, and then we do a tour with Death Angel.
Wow.
So that should be cool. It's Death Angel, 3 Inches of Blood, Battlecross, us, and a band called Diamond Plate from the States. So that should be really, really cool. So we basically just got our foot on the gas all the way up until Thanksgiving, basically.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
And thank you ever so much for your time.
My pleasure.